So today, I just wanted to talk about the books I'm going to read in 2025. So currently, I am reading Infinite Jest, which I'm this far. I'm 79 pages in, and let me fucking tell you, this book is so insanely mind-numbing. I mean, I am only 79 pages in, and I did like a lot of like watching people's reviews, watching people's analysis. I went on fucking Reddit. I hate Reddit, but I went on Reddit and just to, like get like a general idea of how I should go about tackling this. But everyone was saying like, because the first 50 pages are pretty good, like insanely good. But 79 pages in. But I mean, even all throughout, there's like sections where you're just like, wow, like just the verbiage used is just like amazing. And there's like some parts where you're like, what the hell are you yapping about right now? So there's a lot of that. It's a lot of back and forth. But I mean, a lot of people have said you have to get to page like 300 for the story to really get going, because right now there's a lot of world building, a lot of just information, just like little bits and pieces like thrown in here and there. I mean, there's already been a connection I made, because like you're kind of like bouncing back and forth between like a bunch of like seemingly random people's points of view, but I'm assuming they're all tying together at some point, which there has been like 79 pages in, there already has been. So yeah, so I'm gonna make another, I don't have a lot to say obviously because I'm only 79 pages in, but I'll probably make an update video once I get probably halfway or something. It's about 1,000 pages, a lot of footnotes, and it's strange. I've never read a book where footnotes have been so crucial to the plot. It's more like when it comes to like fiction books, it's like it would be like if you need like more context, it'll have like a footnote, or like in nonfiction books there's a lot more footnotes, but even then you don't really have to read them. But obviously if you actually want to get like a deeper understanding, you should. But just to get into it, I have my notebook. These are 25 books I want to read in 2025. My goal for next year, number wise, is 50. I'm gonna be doing a video on all the books that I've read this year. This one is gonna be the first book I finish next year, most likely. I'll probably read a smaller one here and there on a weekend or something. But there's one or two books that I'm gonna finish before the year ends, so I'm just gonna finish those and then I'll make that video. But I mean, this list I've compiled I'm not necessarily married to it. It's just like if I'm in a perfect reading year, I'm gonna knock these all out, and then whatever other the rest of the 25 that I'm planning on reading for my goal, it'll just be kind of like a play by ear, just kind of see what catches my attention and whatnot. But first on the list is, and I also wanted to mention, this past year I've always been more of like a nonfiction, like philosophy, I hate to call it self-help, but self-help type of books. But in the latter part of the year, I've gotten a lot more into fiction. As soon as I started, like holy crap, like now I'm just like, I'm looking at my list and I'm like, there's not a lot of nonfiction on here, which I'm not mad about, because I have been missing out on a lot. And I also bounce back and forth between reading on my e-readers and reading physicals. Usually the way I kind of do it is if it's like a book that I know is gonna have to get a lot of like deep thinking and interaction out of me, I will usually get the physical copy. That's why I got the physical copy of Infinite Jest, just because like I knew it was gonna have to be a lot of kind of like jumping back and forth, writing down in the margins like okay, this character is related to this character and they are in this position or whatever it may be. So usually if it's like a book that I know for sure I'm gonna have to interact with and think about deeply, I'll usually get the physical. But if it's a book where it's either a little bit more on the lighter side, or if it's a book that maybe it's a little bit more lengthy, but I know it's kind of more I just want to enjoy it and not necessarily think so deeply about it. Or if it's a book that I'm kind of not sure if I'll like it, I'll read it as an ebook first, and then if I really like it, I'll get the physical copy just to have in my collection. But I kind of like go back and forth. And also, like, obviously if you're traveling, it's a lot easier to take an e-reader with you. The first book on my list is Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut. This book just caught my interest. So another book YouTuber that I really like watching, from Colossum Books, Matt, he recommended it. And so this is like, I've never read any Kurt Vonnegut, but apparently it just gets like super like meta, like in terms of like Kurt like inserts himself into the book and start like kind of like acts like as a god and starts like kind of just making these happen, which obviously I haven't read it yet, so I've come out to find out. But Matt over at Colossum Books definitely caught my attention with that. The second book on my list, The Denial of Death by Ernest Becker. This one I just kind of, I was going through my Goodreads and it just like caught my attention, so I really have nothing to say on this, but from what I saw, it pretty much just kind of is going to talk about like how seeing our deaths in a very abstract way kind of makes us go through life not necessarily realizing like how serious it actually kind of is, and we only do have one chance. And you see this Memento Mori tattoo. I always try to take that in consideration, so I just keep my interest. Third on the list, Blood Meridian. This one, I feel like a lot of these books on this list are gonna be like super basic, but like I said, like I've just been getting into fiction and like novels, and I feel like I miss out a lot. So a lot of these will probably seem a little bit basic. But yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about this, and from what I've heard, the villain in it is probably one of the most evil characters like in anything. Just like seeing that, I just love villains, so that piqued my interest. Next one on my list, Build Your Resilience by Donald Robertson. I've read another book by Donald Robertson, How to Think Like a Roman Emperor, and that was kind of more of a breakdown on like the Stoic philosophy of like Marcus Aurelius, kind of putting into more practical, like modern, actionable examples. This book by him, it's he's I believe a therapist, and so just talking about like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and so just like something good. Just I feel like we could all use. Therapy may not be like completely accessible to everyone, so obviously lots of value in that. Next on my list, The Idiots by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I hope I didn't butcher this one, but I know this one's another classic novel, so nothing to say on that. This actually tied into another book. So I read The Goldfinch recently, and holy shit, that book blew my mind. But I thought it was interesting just because Boris, one of the characters, talks about it, and it kind of talks about how good doesn't always come from good and bad doesn't always come from bad, and it's not completely black and white. So I just thought that was really interesting that he would, and he said like, oh, I read this book and I read it 3 times because I thought I was misunderstanding. So I feel like it's probably just going to be a story kind of revolving around ethics, most likely, if I can predict correctly. But again, we'll find out. The next book is The Trial by Franz Kafka. So this past year, I read The Metamorphosis, and that was the first Franz Kafka book. So this will be the second Franz Kafka book that I've read. And The Metamorphosis is really good. Like, just like the prose that he uses, and it's just, I feel like, a very unique like writing style. And so I just kind of want to delve into like some of his other works. Next book on the list is Consider the Lobster by David Foster Wallace. This one I'm actually gonna go into completely blind. Obviously I'm reading Infinite Jest, so I've been liking it so far, so assuming I enjoy that book in its entirety, I just want to delve into David Foster Wallace's other works, but I have no idea what that one's going to be about, so I'm going to tell him blind. Next book is going to be Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. Another book recommendation from Matt at Colossum Books. So he said it was like the most devastating book one of the most devastating books that he's read. And I love me a good sad book. I love me a good cry. I love feeling sorrowful. Yeah, I love it. So anything that's like kind of sad, it always tickles my pickle. So we're gonna get into that one. After those are all relatively shorter books. I believe they're all less than 300 to 400 pages, except The Idiot. I think that one's a little bit longer, maybe 700. I could be wrong, but after that is gonna. So after reading Infinite Jest, I just wanted a couple shorter books I could kind of just devour relatively quickly. I did want to do another longer reading project. This one is probably going to be one that's on my Before I Die TBR. War and Peace. I was kind of like looking into what translations are the best, because reading Meditations really shows you that the person who translated the book matters. I picked up one copy of Meditations, and it was just super hard to kind of follow, and just the prose was very strange, or maybe not strange per se, but it was just different what I was used to, so it's hard to follow along. So I didn't finish it. A couple weeks later, a friend of mine told me, like, dude, you just got the wrong translation. So he let me borrow his copy, which had a different translator, and I read that, and then that's when it just clicked, and I was like, holy crap. And then, so it is very dependent, I feel like, on the translator for you to fully grasp what they're trying to put forward and just like fully appreciate the words. So this will be probably my mid-year / summer reading project. Next, we have another James Baldwin that I want to read. It's called Go Tell It on the Mountain. So apparently this has themes of religion and kind of like that just like religious family dynamic. So that just kind of caught my attention, and just wanted to get a few James Baldwin books under my belt, or a couple. Next is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Like I said, I feel like I'm just behind on all these like novels and these fiction books. I want to catch up, so just trying to find a couple different authors that seem interesting to me, and just read a couple other works just to kind of get a taste for it, and then from there either read more of their stuff or know that okay, maybe his books aren't for me, and then try out different authors. But I just want to get a couple different works from like these authors. I'm gonna read The Little Friend by Donna Tartt. So my girlfriend put me on The Secret History first, and then I think that was the book that like kind of made me like be like, holy shit, I am missing out. I honestly think it was that one. So she recommended me that one. She thought I would like that one, and so I picked up The Goldfinch, and then that just further reinforced the Donna Tartt supremacy in my head. So now I have to read The Little Friend. Next, American Psycho. So this book, well, I mean, obviously I've seen the movie. I think we've all seen the movie. And I think for the most part, everyone was supposed to, I feel like everyone was able to grasp like the satirical elements of it. Obviously not. There is a alarmingly large amount of people that genuinely look up to Patrick Bateman as a figure to be admired, but that's besides the point. I've heard in the book it goes in a lot deeper into the actual like psychology, and obviously it's a lot easier to elaborate on themes, and so I feel like the book will probably be pretty good. I mean, stood the test of time so far. Next, the second nonfiction book that we'll read next year, How to Think Like Socrates by Donald Robertson. So same author as the other one. He's just a very good author. I like his work. I enjoyed How to Think Like a Roman Emperor, so if it's anything like that, I'm sure I will like it. Actually, I'm lying. So we got a couple nonfiction books in a row. So Discourses, Epictetus. So I mean, pretty much the only work from Marcus Aurelius is Meditations. Like everyone knows about that book. And then as far as the Stoic philosophy in general, the deepest dive that I've done as far as that, I've read a lot of Seneca's work. I've done a lot of different personal projects with his work, On the Short Life, Letters from a Stoic. Breakfast of Seneca is an amazing book. That is probably the book I'd recommend to anyone trying to, like, more than Meditations. I think Breakfast of Seneca does the best job of explaining what the actual practical use of Stoicism is and how to actually apply it to your life in a way that's not toxic masculinity or just suppressing your emotions. Breakfast of Seneca is an amazing introduction to get into Stoicism, as well as A Guide to the Good Life. That is another amazing introduction. Before you even read Meditations, before you read Letters to a Stoic, you always, in my opinion, want to read those secondary sources before you get to the primary. Next one is a book that I've been waiting to read for a long time. Protocols by Andrew Huberman. So I pre-ordered this book in like November, maybe earlier, maybe later, but it was a while back. No, it was definitely, I think it might have been August. I think I pre-ordered this book in August because I didn't realize how far out it actually was because I pre-ordered it on the ebook store. But yeah, so I mean, that's going to come out in, I think, like March or something. So I've been looking forward to reading that. I always listen to this podcast, so like, hey, why not just read the damn book? Okay, next one. The Bell Jar, Sylvia Plath. I actually don't know too much about Sylvia Plath. I know this is a book that a lot of real feminists as well as fake feminists read. Don't quote me on that. I'm quoting someone else. But my girlfriend is a big Sylvia Plath fan. And I actually bought this for my sister, actually. I know Sylvia Plath is a big figure, so looking forward to getting into that. Next book, another Dostoevsky book, Crime and Punishment. Just, I don't know, just a lot of more of the like Russian literature have been catching my eye. So this is another book. And also, like, I feel like Crime and Punishment, War and Peace, like all those books is like, when you're a kid, you think of it as like, oh, older, very wise people. Those are books for like older, like adult, just like wise adults. And so like now, maybe not wise, but being an adult and kind of like getting, like, reading bits and pieces here and there, you see like it's accessible to you now, and it's like actually like achievable to read these books. This gives you like a certain, yeah, it just feels good. So that's gonna be another book. Next book, another Kurt Vonnegut book, Slaughterhouse-Five. Heard a lot of good things about that one. Next one, Stoner by John Williams. I've heard a lot of good things about this book. My girlfriend told me she tried reading it. She actually let me borrow that one. She said she didn't like it and she DNF'd it, but I'll get my taste on that one. Next book will be Animal Farm by George Orwell. This is a book that my girlfriend, when she read it, she went crazy over this book, and it is a pretty short read. So I will get into that one as well. The premise behind the book is animals like reversing the roles, but then kind of falling into the roles that humans were in the first place. The next book on the list, The Stranger by Albert Camus. Albert Camus is an author that I've seen around a lot, especially when I was kind of looking more into like the Jean-Paul Sartre, Friedrich Nietzsche. I wouldn't say he's an existentialist, but I feel like just because he's kind of everywhere and kind of always bouncing up between ideas, kind of gets bunched in with sometimes. But when I was kind of looking, and then Arthur Schopenhauer, when I was kind of like looking into them, Albert Camus is kind of like a name that I would kind of see pretty often, but I had never read any of his books. So The Stranger, I'm excited to see how I like that. Next book, Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. That's another author that I see a lot in these booktube videos. Always recommended, always high praise for him. No idea if I like it. This is probably one of the only authors I'm kind of like on the fence. I'm just have no idea whether I will like it or not, so we'll find out. Next book, another Goodreads recommendation that very much caught my eye, How to Be Alone by Jonathan Franzen. So I feel like being able to be comfortable in solitude is a very overlooked skill, like in today's society. Obviously we don't want to be lonely people, but we should be comfortable in solitude. Like, we're always connected, whether it be to our phones, always walking around with earbuds in, listening to music. And when I say solitude, I don't mean just being by yourself. I'm also referring to being alone with your thoughts, being able to self-analyze, figure out what you think about certain things, why you think those things, what has caused you to believe in those things, analyze your emotions, break down what makes you feel a certain way, so you can take future steps to help kind of prevent the less desirable emotions. So just solitude in general, just being able to be alone with your thoughts, is a very important skill and trait that a lot of people, everyone has this skill and trait, but it's not always fully developed in everyone, and they don't take time to indulge in it. And so it is an important thing, I feel like, for everyone. So that's going to be another book that I'm looking forward to reading. And another book, 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. So I always kind of viewed Jordan Peterson in not a very good light, but a buddy of mine that I highly respect. And this is all, I've never read a Jordan Peterson book. This is all based on his image that he kind of portrays himself online. But a buddy of mine says that like his books that he's written and put out are actually like very, very good. The way he portrays himself online is more of kind of just like a clickbaity type of thing. So I just thought to myself, you know what, fair enough. So I'll give one of his books a chance. But yeah, those are the 25 books for 2025. Again, I'm not married to this list, but just like if I had a perfect reading year, those are 25 books I will 100% get in. And then the rest of the 25 of my goal, just play it by ear, kind of see what catches my attention in the moment. I'm always in a different mood, and I'm always kind of like book stacking, so I'll have like a little bit more of like either a nonfiction book or just a book that just takes a little bit more brain power, and I'll stack it with something lighter, something easy, something I don't really have to think about. Read both of them interchangeably, just kind of depending on what I'm feeling in the moment. If I'm reading in bed, that is most definitely a light read on my Kobo. But yes, so Infinite Jest halfway point update coming soon. I don't even know how long this video is going to be. I'm not looking forward to seeing how the final timestamp on this, but so those are my plans for 2025.